9 days before his death, Chuck Norris posted a video from Hawaii. He was smiling in the sun, throwing punches like always, and his caption said, "I don't age, I level up." And honestly, the world believed him. Because for decades, Chuck Norris didn't just feel famous, he felt untouchable. To millions, he wasn't just an actor or martial artist. He was a symbol of strength. A man who never slowed down, never broke, and never backed away. But then, on March 19th, 2026, everything changed. His family announced that Chuck Norris had passed away. And just like that, the jokes stopped, the memes went silent, and people remembered there was always a real man behind the legend. Because the truth is, Chuck Norris was never just the invincible hero the internet turned him into. His real-life story is far more powerful than any meme ever made. A poor boy from rural Oklahoma, the son of an alcoholic father. A shy kid who felt invisible growing up, who somehow transformed himself into a martial arts champion, a Hollywood icon, a television superstar, and one of the most recognizable action legends in the world. But that success didn't come easy, and behind all the fame, there was pain, sacrifice, faith, and a level of discipline most people could never imagine. Chuck Norris was born Carlos Ray Norris on March 10, 1940, in Ryan, Oklahoma. He grew up in poverty. Money was always tight, and home was far from peaceful. His father struggled badly with alcohol, and young Chuck had to grow up watching the kind of damage addiction leaves inside a family. He was not the confident, fearless man the world would later see. In fact, by his own words, he was quiet, insecure, and deeply embarrassed by his family's struggles. He wasn't a star athlete. He wasn't popular. He was just a boy trying to survive a hard beginning. The person who held that family together was his mother, Wilma. She gave him something that would shape the rest of his life: faith, discipline, and resilience. When the marriage collapsed, she took Chuck and his brothers and moved them in search of a better life. That decision changed everything. After high school, with no clear path ahead, Chuck joined the United States Air Force in 1958. And that's where his life truly began to change. While stationed in South Korea, he discovered martial arts. For the first time, he found something that made sense to him. Martial arts gave him structure. It gave him confidence. It gave him identity. The shy, overlooked boy from Oklahoma suddenly found purpose in discipline, repetition, and self-mastery. When he returned to America, he wasn't the same person anymore. He opened karate schools in California and built them one by one. Eventually, he owned more than 30 studios, and as his reputation grew, celebrities started walking through his doors. Then came another turning point: Bruce Lee. The two became friends, trained together, and in 1972, Bruce Lee cast Chuck Norris in The Way of the Dragon. That final fight scene between them became one of the most iconic moments in martial arts movie history. It was the moment the world truly noticed Chuck Norris. From there, Hollywood opened up. He starred in action films throughout the late 70s and 80s and built himself into one of the era's biggest action stars. Movies like Lone Wolf McQuade, Missing in Action, Code of Silence, and Delta Force turned him into a household name. What made Chuck Norris different was simple. He never played tough like it was a joke. He meant it. He carried himself with total seriousness, discipline, and conviction. Audiences trusted that. And when the movie era started to shift, Chuck adapted again. In 1993, he stepped into television with Walker, Texas Ranger. That show ran for 8 seasons and over 200 episodes, making him a TV icon for a whole new generation. He wasn't just the lead actor, he was also a producer, which meant he was building long-term wealth, not just taking paychecks. By the end of his career, Chuck Norris had built an estimated $70 million fortune. He created businesses, owned property, wrote books, built martial arts organizations, and turned his name into something bigger than entertainment. He understood that fame could fade, but ownership lasts. And yet, for all the money and success, the part of his life that says the most about him had nothing to do with Hollywood. In his later years, Chuck devoted much of his energy to faith, family, and giving back. His non-profit, Kickstart Kids, helped thousands of young people through martial arts and character education. It was deeply personal to him because he knew exactly what it felt like to be a lost kid in need of direction. And then came the private pain. In the final chapter of his life, Chuck endured heavy losses. His mother passed away in 2024. His first wife, Diane, passed away in late 2025. These were not just headlines. These were people connected to the deepest parts of his life. Then, after celebrating his 86th birthday in Hawaii and posting that now famous video, "I don't age, I level up," Chuck Norris suffered a sudden medical emergency on March 19, 2026. He was rushed to the hospital, surrounded by family, and passed away in peace. The exact cause was kept private. And maybe that silence made the moment hit even harder, because for years, the internet turned Chuck Norris into an immortal joke, a man too strong for time itself. But in the end, what made him unforgettable was not that he seemed superhuman. It was that he was human and still kept fighting. He fought through poverty. He fought through insecurity. He fought through rejection. He fought through loss. And every single time life hit him, he rebuilt himself again. That's the real reason Chuck Norris became a legend. Not because he could throw a roundhouse kick. Not because of the memes. Not even because of the fame. He became a legend because he proved that where you begin does not decide where you end. A boy who once felt invisible became one of the most recognized faces in the world. A child raised in struggle built a life of discipline, purpose, and impact. Chuck Norris didn't just leave behind movies, TV shows, and internet jokes. He left behind an example that strength is not about looking powerful, it's about staying standing when life gives you every reason to fall. Chuck Norris. March 10th, 1940, March 19th, 2026. He said he didn't age. He leveled up. And maybe, in the eyes of the people who grew up watching him, that's exactly what he did.